and it should be good. So we are live, literally on the air. And, so yeah, we'll let's see here. We got a couple homies already. Nick, Mike, Brandon, Brian, Steve, welcome. We're gonna wait a little bit before we get going. You can see Patrick in the background there with his rock wall that he built by hand for his kids. Dad of the year.
Actually, mother of the year. I wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for her. So
mother of the year.
Yeah, I just had a screwdriver.
I'm having one person struggle to register, so I'm just going to send her a direct login link. So we're going to get started in a second. There's always a tech thing. Let's see. Let's try this link. All right. We have 26 of 28. That's fantastic. Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I guess days of the week are kind of irrelevant now, but really excited to do a internal Darley equipment sales training with Patrick O'Connor here with 3AM Innovations. Goal of this is to learn about 3AM, learn about Pat, really get into what is the product, how can it be sold, and what's the value proposition. So without further ado, Patrick, I'd love if you could introduce yourself, tell us a little about you, the company, maybe give your kid in the background a little shout out.
It's crazy you can hear them. I have noise canceling headphones and they're upstairs. But all right, so sorry if you hear kids. I have 3 of them. But yeah, so guys, my name is Patrick O'Connor. I am the CEO of 3AM Innovations, and it's a little bit of an interesting story how we got here. So obviously our company is here to protect firefighters. So we are here to protect those who protect us, as you guys know. And I was a volunteer fireman for 5 years. And that's actually when I came across the issue, which is the whiteboards and dog tags. When I was in the service, we suffered a loss. It was a convenience store fire. We called for evacuation. Everyone got out. But when people gave their PARs, 2 of them actually got walked on. And so when they checked the whiteboard, they actually showed that they were still inside. And so they sent in the RIT team, and the RIT team fell through the floor. And we weren't able to retrieve them. So I just remember telling my chief, it's like, this is insane. Like, this is just absolutely ridiculous. How are we losing people to something that's just so archaic? Like, our cell phones know where we are. My co-founder, Ryan, says all the time, it's like, we want to go to grandma's house. It shows us exactly where it is. It shows when you pull up to the grandma's house. How come we can't do that? So that's really what set us on our journey. And the name 3AM actually comes from, since I was a volunteer firefighter, I was actually I was opening restaurants, and so that was my day job. So I would get home from working at the restaurants. I would have dinner with my family, my 1-year-old son. I'd put him to bed, kiss my wife goodnight, and I'll go into my home office and just research technology. I did that for quite a few years. And just like 3 a.m. was just the time when I would crash, just fall asleep on my desk or whatever, and then you'll wake up at 7, do it all over again. So when it came to name the company, I was like, well, that fits. Like, it's all the bad stuff happens at 3 a.m. when you're a firefighter. That's when you're going out, and also that's when I would crash anyway. So it just makes sense. But Kevin, can you actually throw up the pitch deck, please?
Yep, I can do that. Right
I'll
now.
get a little bit into the product now. All right. Oh, cool. I can advance. Nice. So, all right. If you're looking at our team right here, my face should be cut off a little bit, but it's fine. You can see it on top of it. So this is Ryan Litt. He's my co-founder and COO. So I have the experience in the fire service. Ryan has experience in building technology. So he's been building tech for 15 years. He's actually handled 75 development teams. He was a VP at Harris Computers. He also was involved with Back USA, which was a tablet maker for schools. And he's been very, very well versed on how to create technology, how to make integrations, how to build teams. So he was an excellent partner in actually building this company from the ground up. He also brought on board Bobby Cannon. He's our software architect. He is a wizard when it comes to actually making software, and he's actually well versed for the COVID challenges. He literally, before COVID, did not leave his house for 29 days. That was his record. Obviously now he shattered it, but He's a true like stay home, just code all day and all night guy. He's been amazing in building our product. Then we are also able to bring on Ron Cabrera. He is a retired battalion commander of of LA County. And so he was with LA County for 34 years. And while he was there, he really wanted to bring technology into the service. So this has always been a passion of his. And he reached out to us after he retired and said, hey, look, I want to help. I still want to be a part of the fire service. Can I join your ranks? So he's been instrumental in our outreach and also in working with Ryan to say, like, this is how a large fire department is going to handle either purchasing, or this is what we want to see. This is the different tactics that we're going to use. So he's been instrumental in growing our product. Moving down further, Danny Sheridan is a battalion commander who's active in FDNY. So he's currently managing the COVID cleanup that they have everything going on out there. And he's also been very instrumental. He's been on our advisor board since the start. He's been very active in helping us, and even just anytime we need a question, we just give him a call, and he was like, okay, guys, this is what I would do. This is how I would handle it. So he's been great. And then I don't think that the last guy needs an introduction at all is Bobby Halton of FDNY. I'm sorry. Wow, I'm bad. FDIC. And he is, we've been going to FDIC for 3 years now. The very first is when I met, actually, Mike and Kevin. And it was just my wife and I just trying to do customer discovery, and we just had our own little booth. And as firefighters walked by, we're like, hey, if I could build this system, would you buy it? And they were all like, sure. So I got 108 fire departments signed on saying that this is something that they would buy. And then it just took off from there. But Bobby Halton, he walked by one day and he's like, hey, I like what you're doing. Keep at it. And as the years progressed, he got more and more involved. And now him and I actually have regular phone calls all the time. And he actually wants us to integrate our technology into FDIC a little bit more. So that's basically the team right now. And then looking at our software, as you can see, it is a tablet-based. It's a Windows-based software solution. The reason why we went Windows is, as you guys are probably aware, most of the fire departments still operate off of Toughbooks or something to that effect. There are some iOS that are sneaking in now, but for the most part, it is a Windows-based system. And our software is progressively enhanced through all of the different connections that we have. So we have a remote-friendly system where it's also a mobile app. So we have Android and iOS. But we also work over the web as well. So we could go completely off grid if you're just on site. If you don't have LTE, we go through our mesh network. Or if you have the LTE connection, we could have people remote in from the alarm office, and they could even help manage the scene. So they could even help by adding in geofence zones. They could help by issuing commands, and we'll get all into that in a little bit. This is our mobile app. So as you see here, we can get alerts directly to the mobile app. You can have chat functions in the app, and we could also stream the camera of your phone. So this is very helpful for volunteer departments. When you're rolling up, there's times where I was the very first, firefighter on scene, and I don't have a radio because I was just a firefighter. I wasn't a lieutenant captain or anything. And so if I got on scene first and I saw a fire blowing out of the front door, well, now I have to actually call dispatch and let them know. I was like, okay, this is firefighter 259. I'm on scene. I see fire coming out of the front door. They go, all right, thank you, sir. They hang up with me, and then they get on the radio and they tell everyone there. Just delay, not efficient. It actually stops the dispatcher from doing something else. So this is a much more simple, slick way. I just get on scene, immediately throw up my camera, and I can show. And then in 5 seconds, everyone in my district has a video of what's going on. I was just talking with the fire department yesterday, and they were actually saying that they would actually mandate a new SOP where the jump seat in the fire apparatus, they would, as they roll up, they always get the three sides of the building. So as you're coming up, you always pass the structure. And so you can see the B corner, the A side, and then the D side. And they said they would mandate actually having the camera up as they pass it. So now everyone can see at least three sides of the structure immediately. So that was something that was like, makes a lot of sense. And then this is our wearable device. So this comes out next year. So we're going to launch it next year at FDIC. And this allows us to get height. So this is the holy grail. Everyone's been after it. We actually do this through, we take the GPS reading because firefighters are outside. Then we use inertial tracking. So we're tracking all your footsteps everywhere you go. And then the last piece is they all talk to each other. So they create a mesh network. What a mesh network is.
Really quick. So what is, talk me through a little bit the phase one of just the phone and the software and the product, kind of where it is now and like what is available today to be used versus this.
All right. If you want, we could actually just switch over to right on over to the software then if you want to do that.
Is there any more slides here that are relevant to go through?
Not really. I mean, it just, if you wanted me to actually hit like a full on sales pitch, then yeah, I would hit these, but they're fine. We don't have to really hit anything else.
Go through them really quick. Sorry. And then,
okay. No worries. Because I was planning on hitting what's available today and after
I'll just stop talking and you just keep going.
Not a problem. All right. So, so right now we're doing trials with U.S. fire districts. So we're actually setting one up with the Buffalo Fire Department as we speak. Just yesterday, I was talking with a Florida-based fire department that wants to do a trial with us. And we have a few other large fire departments that we're working with. We're also very close with the Department of Homeland Security. So through them, we're able to get in with the Israeli Fire Rescue Authority, and we were able to get a grant with between the Department of Homeland Security and the Israeli Department of Homeland Security to facilitate that relationship. We have $4 million in letters of intent, and we have an additional. Actually, it was $4 million in the funnel. Now it is grown to $10 million in the funnel, and that's international and domestic. And we also have 2 patents around our hardware product and a non-exclusive license with Darley.
It's a great looking distribution partner.
I agree. I like it. So, like I said, there's really not much left in the slides there. But we are dedicated to connecting 1 million firefighters worldwide by 2025. And that's where Darley comes in. Darley's pivotal in that plan, in that process. And so we want to really get you guys up to speed so we could get you guys running on the road with this too. So
awesome.
That's really it. So yeah, so if you...
I'll stop sharing the slide presentation. And yeah, if you want to share your screen, I think it's really important. And before you start running through the softwares, we really want all the everyone on the call to have a really good understanding of where the product is now from using a app and software on your phone versus phase 2 of the hardware, and speaking to everyone on the line with Darley of how can some of these sales reps cross-sell this? I mean, maybe everyone thinks about situational positioning and tracking, but what are the most important things that sales reps should be aware of and talk about when they're communicating the product?
Yep. All right. So basically, we really feel like this is a very, very powerful tool for volunteer departments, mainly because you don't really know who's coming on scene. And I know that there are some, like I'm Responding, there's some softwares out there, but it basically just puts your name onto an Excel spreadsheet. It doesn't really give you any tactical advantage, doesn't give you any information. So as you look here, what we have is an offline version of our map. So if you want to actually go completely with LTE, we can get a satellite view of it. Some areas we have 3D buildings. Like this is a view of Buffalo. This is our office right here. We don't have a 3D building yet, but Microsoft is working, and we're getting a lot more of the buildings as we go. But we do have some 3D offline buildings. Now, the good thing about working with a Microsoft computer is we could download these and have these available offline. But we also have the ability to build our own buildings, which I'll show you in a second. But moving into what's available today is we have a mobile app. So we have an Android app and iOS, and both of them seamlessly integrate directly into our system here. And you could issue commands to them. So you can see right here, this is actually my phone sitting here where I'm sitting at my house right now. So I could target it at any time. And now, as you can see, this is me sitting right here in my house, and it's just pulling the GPS of my phone. But now I could also issue commands to my phone. So I could actually hit assign, and then let's put myself onto roof ops. So once I do that, see my little guy is going to disappear, but I move down into the roof ops team. But at the same time, as you can see on my screen, I just got a notification saying roof ops. So now this is very helpful for volunteer departments as they're rolling out. So I'm leaving my house, I'm on my way to the call. The chief actually will see my little head pop up here, and it'll have an ETA of, when I'm moving. All our app does is it just maps it out and says, okay, this is my current GPS, this is where I need to go. This is the ETA, it's going to take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever to get there. And it passes it over to us. So now the chief knows how far out I'm in, where I need to go, and then I could assign stuff. So I say, oh, great, Patrick's coming. He's awesome at roof ops. I'm going to give him that assignment. And now I know where I'm going in the very beginning. The second thing that they could do is we could actually send Patrick to a certain location. So I'm going to actually let's just go over here. I'm going to send him to this side of the structure. So as soon as I hit that, a little flag populates. But I got GPS coordinates here. If I hit it, actually got it. There you go. It takes me right to the map. And as you see, it also shows me where to go off the road as well. So now it tells me exactly where I need to go. So as I'm driving up and I'm outside getting dressed out of my car, now I could actually see where I need to go and what I need to do. So I'm on rooftops. I know now I have to grab a K-12 saw. I know I have to grab a ladder. And I also know what side of the building I'm going to. All this before is I would have to go up to the chief, hand him my dog tag, and then be like, all right, where do you need me? Well, now we just made it ridiculously more efficient. And they could do this remotely. So you could have someone at the alarm office setting all this up for them, saying, okay, I know where everyone is. I'm going to issue them to all their commands. Boom, go. And then the chief gets on scene. He already has a scene running. He doesn't have to do anything. He just has to manage the actual paramedics. Does that make sense so far?
Yeah, it does. And one thing that came to mind, and I don't want to maybe jump around applications too much, but with giving people the opportunity to send coordinates, I know you had mentioned before, there's a strong interest within the wildfire applications.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of there's a lot within wildland urban kind of interface firefighting. How is this type of interface something that's applied towards wildland applications?
Yeah. So basically, with wildland, we could actually go really far out here. I want to go slow because I don't. There you go. So we could actually look on a very large scale where everyone is, so you could drill down, but you also could see, like, let's say like wildlands go acres and acres. You know, they're huge areas that you're working with. So we could actually have people all over the place structured, but you could also do geofencing. So now, just from our time with Ron Cabrera, we know that they go in division. So Division 1, Division 2, so it could be a support or operational. But now I'm going to make a large division here. And let's go down Allen Street. Yep. And that, we'll cut it over there. So now I'm making quite a large division. And this is the area that they're operating in right there. So once I hit save, now you'll actually see another area populate. And I see there's 18 people in Division 1. So as you can see, you could have very large swaths. And now you could actually pick out and see exactly who's there. So see how I grade out? Because I'm not in Division 1. So now you could actually see who is operating in what division, and it could be very quick and very easy. And then you could also roll people up if you don't want to see them. So now it allows us to actually clear the screen of clutter, because if you're operating in here, and let's say I'm only going to care about the attack line. So I'm going to roll up everyone else, and I only want to see the attack line. So now I could actually focus on just that team. So now that allows the actual commanders to be more focused on what they want to deal with at the one time, but they could also at any point explode everyone back out. So I could just pop everyone right back out whenever I need them. And at any one time, I could just pull them back in. And now that was something that came directly from our advisors, because like take FDNY, for example, they throw 200 firefighters at a scene. It's going to get really chaotic, and there's going to be a lot of dots moving around. And so they want to be able to roll them up because they actually put them out into sectors. So Los Angeles, they do divisions. New York City, they do sectors. So he's going to have a roof op sector. He's going to have an attack line sector, and they're going to have different chiefs focus on each one. And so this is a way that we could very easily just focus on your sector. But at any point, if there's an alert, you could actually see exactly what's going on. So no matter what, even if they're rolled up and someone says, Mayday, 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 now we also have an alert that's going to pop up, but it also expels them out so you could actually see that person right away. So that's another, I'll see how now they just populated out. The reason why they populated out is because I had a Mayday and this team was actually hidden. But now you immediately see that, okay, even if I wasn't looking at them, there was an alert that came out. I immediately get brought attention to it. Everyone on the fire scene gets brought attention to that. And as you can see, that actually came from me just saying Mayday.
And so tell me a little bit more about that. Like just by, is the app or something like passively listening for keywords, and then how is that communicated to the incident commander?
Yep. So the app is doing something very similar to how like Google Home and Alexa use the wake words. And what it's doing is it's always listening, but it's not recording. And so it's always listening for keywords. And so we could code anything we want into it. So now, very similar to like water on fire, or how you could say victims found, we could do a red dot on the screen. We could do anything we want. We have coded right now Mayday because that's the most important piece. And now this removes all false positives, because if you're on the fire scene before, you actually hear the pass alarms going off all the time. It's a very, very noisy system, but they're always false positives. You always have people doing what's called the firefighter wiggle, because basically the pass alarm is just a ball bearing that just keeps moving. As soon as it stops moving, it creates a circuit and then it starts going off. Well, we've removed that issue. Our system could actually just listen to your voice and it could send off alerts. We've tested it inside the bunker gear in very noisy environments, and it still operates. So it shows that it's a very, very robust system that allows us to not only use just Maydays, but we could do good things. Like, I have water on fire. Well, great. Now your battalion commander back at the office gets an alert that at the Goodell Street fire, they got water on fire 10 minutes in. Well, that's a little long time. We should have got it in 5 minutes. So now they can actually use that to see where they can improve.
And they can customize those words. So even if they have like a custom code word for it, maybe whatever it might be, like a special at the hot dog stand or something, or something. But you can customize a word towards an action.
Exactly. And so, like we were saying before, so this also would work very well for active shooter events. So, because as you guys know, firefighters go to active shooter events. They have to remove all the victims. So as they're sitting there and the police are actually traversing through the building, they could say victim found here, victim found here. We would actually populate red dots at their current location. So now the outside commander, he's getting updated that we found a victim here, victim here. So now he knows exactly where to send his guys to go get them. So now that just gives them more situational awareness, and you don't have to be listening on the radio, because think of it, it's the police are going through actually clearing the rooms. Well, now they have to sit there like, I found victims on the first floor of the East Quarter, and it's just wasting time. This way, you just say victims found, boom, red dot, moving on, and just keep going on their way. So that's where this voice control is very, very powerful. And what's up?
And I don't want to completely interrupt the thought, but I've seen a couple questions, and this seems like obviously there's a lot of value to this, but one of the concerns I'm seeing in the chat in the question bars is you mentioned earlier this is great for volunteer or even rural fire departments, but how do you address when there's maybe not the best Wi-Fi in rural areas? And especially when you're dealing with the fact that you have some buildings that have whether concrete or steel. How do you deal with both the building interference and then the lack of legit Wi-Fi?
So our actual wearables, where we deal with that. So our wearables actually create their own mesh network. So the units themselves, we use ultra wideband as a radio frequency, it goes higher than 2.4. It's actually 3 to 6 gigahertz that it works at. So it's above the noise floor of all Wi-Fi. And in our testing, we've actually been able to shoot it 150 meters. So between each person. So basically, if you think about it, when we were in this building, I'm on the wrong screen. When we were in this building here, we had a unit here, and we were talking through this building, and we were talking all the way out to someone out here. So as you can see, just on this fire scene here, everyone would be connected. Every single person is going to be talking and sharing data between each other. And that way now we're creating the mesh network where everything's available to go offline. We don't need to have LTE. We don't need anything. It just works because the firefighters themselves are there. They become the actual network nodes, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So that's what's coming out next year.
And so, but for now, I mean, before the hardware comes out,
we are just straight with LTE at the moment with the mobile app. However, there is another company that we're in talks with that will allow us to actually use a mesh network that we could connect to the radios, but we're starting conversations with them.
Gotcha. So phase 2, when the hardware comes out, is something that will address the lack of that Wi-Fi and the
but since as you guys could tell, most buildings LTE is fine in. It works in most buildings, so we should always have a connection, unless you're in like a tunnel or you're in some sort of very large like stadium structure or whatnot. So for the most part, 99% of it works with LTE. But yes, we are going to be more robust with our wearable device when it comes out.
Okay. And so you mentioned like some smaller, medium, large departments like Bonita Springs and even Boston. Tell me what's been some of the feedback from both small and large departments, and speaking even, let's say, from a sales perspective, like what should you say to pique the interest of a department of why they should consider something like this?
Well, mainly because the U.S. Forestry was just mandated. They have 2 years to get every single one of their firefighters on GPS. And as we've talked to fire departments, no one offers a system that aggregates all GPS into one map. We're the only ones that can do that. It's to me, it's a little crazy that no one's ever done it before, because we're just pulling the GPS of a phone at the moment. But with our wearable device, obviously we get the height. But right now, today, we could get every single firefighter on GPS tracking, so we know exactly where they are just through the GPS of the phone. We could do that today. And so that's the next piece is every firefighter that we talk to, they say, look, do you want to have an automated accountability system? They say, yes, we can do that today. And that's where it makes it very powerful is you don't have to do anything. You have a phone on you as it is right now. Just download the app. You're done. You're ready to go.
Very cool. So within the interface that you're looking at right now, you ran through some examples and you kind of the roof ops and the kind of creating the different area. Are there any other features that are relevant that we should be aware of that are things that are important to potential end users' interest?
Yes. So one thing that we're actually building out right now is we have the approval to go on the Amber Alert system. So as you guys are aware, the Amber Alert system is basically law enforcement agencies put it out when they have a lost child, or weather agencies put it out when there's a tornado coming. We through our connections at the Department of Homeland Security, we are able to get access to that system where now we can actually allow fire departments to issue an evacuation order or a shelter-in-place order within seconds. When before, as we were talking with our friends in the wildfire industries, they actually had to give a paper map to a fire chief, and then give a paper map to the police chief and say, go knock on doors. So very similar to what you see here, we would actually have so we're building out the other button right now, is it would just submit this hologram and all the GPS coordinates inside of it to the Department of Homeland Security. And then basically their system goes to AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, all those carriers, and say, ping all of your phone's GPSs. If your phone's GPS falls within this coordinates, give them this message. It's a very simplistic system on our side. All we have to do is just give this data out to them, and then they do the rest for us. But no one else has that ability. We had to go through quite a lot of certifications to get that. And so I think that's another very, very important piece that our software can do is from the field, we could issue out an evacuation order. No one else could do that. So
we're getting a couple other questions. This is maybe a good time. Encourage everyone to continue to ask questions from what you're seeing and for Patrick. But one in particular, obviously relevant to the whole COVID situation. What is it, and what are some of the tie-ins with what 3M and the product is doing as it ties in with how data centers or information is plugging into your play, or what is your product and solutions tie in with part of the COVID response?
Yep. So we actually are in talks with CDC. We actually had a call with them the other day, and they're fully behind us on how to integrate into them. But the downside is the CDC doesn't actually have the data that we need. As we got deeper into it, we realized that they actually get the data 7 days later than when the local fire departments have it. So the local Department of Health has it. So now with that being said, we have started shifting our focus to actually getting into all the local departments. Why is my battery? Sorry, I was just told my battery's dying. I have it plugged in. Hopefully I don't die. I'm sorry. And so with that being said, we are now reaching out to all the local, our county Department of Health and others like that to get access to the actual address level data. And the concept, what we're doing there is we would actually work with them to have a secure way to issue out the COVID area. So what I mean by that is right now at Alabama, they are issuing just Excel spreadsheets of all the addresses for people with COVID. It's not secure. It's not going to be a long tail play. It's just a short, okay, we have nothing else to do, so we just got to do it. What we're proposing is something that's going to actually be lasting. Is our system would actually work with their system. We would create an API that sits on their side of the firewall. And then when we get a 911 call, we would shoot it the address and say, we're going to this address here. And then it will look up on their list and say, okay, I have an address and it's COVID related with this, or it's not COVID related with this. And then what it would do is it would then return a number, a 0 through 10. And the 0 through 10 would say, okay, 0, obviously no risk, you're good to go. A 5, well, you're a halfway risk, and then we'll have SOPs built around it with the CDC of what that would mean. And then if it comes with 10, then this is a confirmed COVID case. You need to make sure you're suited up and ready to go. That just gives them the advanced warnings, because with COVID being added to the Ryan-White Act, that's if you guys don't know, the Ryan-White Act was in 2009. It actually was really based around HIV. And it just shows that it's such a bad infectious disease that no matter what, HIPAA shouldn't relate to it, because if you catch it, it's really, really bad. So you should be made aware regardless. And now COVID is on that. And so with that being said, now they have an actual obligation to get this data out to firefighters, but they don't know how. They've been years just saying, okay, protect the data. Now they're like, how do we disseminate the data? So we're working with them to actually get the data out to firefighters in real time. And that's where we're actually working with the CDC, the local DOHs, and others to actually integrate into that.
That's really interesting and exciting to see how you guys are part of that solution. And so right now it's exciting. We're on top of that. We're getting a lot of good questions coming in. So kind of want to just rapid fire through them. It's 9:30. We've got this for at least another 29 minutes, but I think good to kind of just rapid fire questions here and continue to elaborate. One is from some of our international reps. Darla does quite a bit of international work into over 90 countries every year. But looking at how compatible is this with international networks? Is it just a matter of using their map system and the system works, or what? How is this going to work internationally, non-USA markets?
Yes. So actually, the map we have is, as I'll scroll out, it is a world map. So it works all over. So we are already in Australia, and the map works perfectly out there. So actually, let me pull off a little bit. I have to plug in. I have to figure out why I must have lost connection. I'm down to like 9% battery, and that's why my computer's running.
Your headphone or your computer?
No, my computer. Don't know why. I must have kicked it out or something. So give me 1 second. Sorry.
Take your time. We'll just look at the world sideways. Thank you all for listening here. Really good questions coming in. Hope you're all finding this useful. Something that we're going to continue to do, these type of trainings around smart firefighting and all things innovation. These questions that are coming in are great. So continue to have it. Continue spitballing questions here.
All right.
Pat, we got you back.
Oh, it's plugged in. I don't know why. Of course, it's not charging my phone. I mean, my computer.
You could small workaround at least is turning your brightness down.
There we go. Okay. I had to like power cycle my charger. Of course, like demo gods, they always, anytime you do a demo, they want to just kill you. Yeah. So as you can see, it's the world map. And so when we are over in Australia, the map still works just as good. We are actually, let's see, where's Sydney? I'm terrible at this. There's Sydney. So even when we were over in Australia, we were showing them everything. You still get all the different roads. You get everything that you need. So no matter where you are, the map works.
And this isn't Google Maps. This is Bing Maps, correct?
Oh, actually, well, Microsoft Maps. It's a
Microsoft
similar system, but it is, yeah, it's close to Bing Maps, yes.
Okay.
So that's why it's a world level map system. So it doesn't matter where you go. We have it, and you could download it. So if you look here under the map, New South Wales. Now, if I go to another area, I could actually you'll see that the button will be available to download. So let's go over here.
So you can download the regional.
Yes, and then it's available. I'm still New South Wales. New South Wales is so large. But yeah, so as I zoom out, let's go there. Maybe now I could show Tanzania. Oh, wow. Still New South. There we go. Let's go to Western Australia. Now you should actually see. There you go. See, now it'll show the button there. So now I could click that, and now it's downloading Western Australia for me. And so now I'll be able to go completely off grid with Western Australia, and I'll at least have the street names and the random buildings that you saw. Obviously, you can't really have all the buildings because I know in Western Australia there's really not much. They all say it's really bushland. But yeah, so that it allows us to have everything completely off grid for them.
Okay. Very cool. So we got kind of an extensive question from Ryan Darley here, who's actually obviously works for Darley, but also a firefighter himself. So I'll read it to you and love your response. Do you think this will eliminate the constant request for a par check? And please explain par check for those of us who don't know. Can this be built into radios? What happens if mutual aid doesn't have the device? Can it be built into radios? What's the model if incident command and responding departments has this, but the 3 mutual aid departments are not on the network? So,
right.
8 questions.
I love it. I love it. And I'm going to try to hit all of them. But so for mutual aid piece, our mobile app is exactly that. We allow anyone to download the app. And the concept there is for, let's take example for the U.S. Forestry and Cal Fire. If they're going to have a lot of times where they work together. Right now that they can't actually see where the other trucks are. So like their AVL, their automated vehicle location tracking systems are from 2 different companies and they don't let them talk. And so now, even though they have mutual aid coming in, they have no idea where they are. With our system, even if you don't have our product, you don't even purchase it from us, you can still download the app. And then when you're going to a call with a fire department that has our product, they could actually give you a code and you get access for that one incident. And then we could see where everyone is and what they're doing. And then as soon as you leave that incident, we break that connection. That code is no longer valid. And so that way we always give access to everyone. So even if you think about with like Australia, when they had the wildfires, they had fire departments coming from all over the world to come help them. Well, obviously you're not going to have all these other people on your system. Our system, we could just issue a code. They get down, they'll get off the plane. Okay, here's your code. Put this in your phone, download this app. Now you're able to be on our system. Boom, quick and easy and done. And then with the getting integrated into the radios, we are currently working with Motorola to get a license to actually Bluetooth with their radio so we could actually get their GPS data. So now the APX 8000 radios have GPS. And so we're looking to actually get access into those. And then that allows us to pull that piece of it. Actually integrating into the radios, we'll see. There's actually we have some stuff on our roadmap to actually see about ways that we could actually like kind of not really like I don't want to use the word hijack, but become an intermediary between the antenna, and then we could actually work in our way into it and then just piggyback on their signal. There are different ways that we could do that. But yes, for the most part, it's like the push to talk piece. So if you think about it, like Samsung, AT&T, we're working very closely with FirstNet. They actually have inside their FirstNet, library, a push to talk feature where now we could integrate that into our app, and it very similarly becomes a walkie-talkie. Then during our customer discovery, we were out in Las Vegas, and they were saying how their Motorola radios don't work in casinos. They're just so big, and it just doesn't work. So they just get on their phones anyways. Well, now that actually creates a nightmare for the investigation teams if they have to look into any sort of event, because it's on text messages, it's on people's personal cell calls. Like there's no cohesiveness between it. And that's where our system helps, because we have the chat feature inside of it. We can do the push to talk on and all that gets recorded in a secure one location for them. Did I answer everything, or did I miss some? I know you had like 8 questions.
No, I think so. And it was very thorough. Thank you. A couple other rapid fire questions. So everyone, please continue to fire questions out. I know earlier you talked about the ability to say Mayday for making a point, and I did see Ryan answer this, but what can you do, and how can the system understand trigger actions without actually saying the word Mayday?
I'm sorry. What do you mean by understand trigger actions?
How to communicate? Let's say, for example, a firefighter or someone's down. Like, what if someone can't say Mayday? How does the system know that a Mayday did or did not occur?
Oh, okay. All right. So if they can't actually speak the word.
Correct.
Okay. Yes. In that case, it actually comes down to just integrations into other systems. So with our wearable device, we actually are tracking your inertia. So we have a bunch of automated alerts on that. So we know how far you go. So if you haven't moved more than 2 feet, 3 feet in a minute, 2 minutes, whatever we want to have, then we could actually tell, okay, something could be wrong. But then we look at the heat detection piece. So we are monitoring the ambient temperature around the firefighter. So if you haven't moved in 1 foot for 3 minutes, but it's ambient temperature around you, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. If it's 400 degrees around you and you haven't moved in 10 minutes, there's an issue there. So we send off automated alerts. Our mobile phone app, it doesn't have that ability just because the inertial measuring units that they use are like a penny. They're really not that good. So as you probably are aware, when you go upstairs, it doesn't even register that you went upstairs. The phones don't have the best features, so we don't want to rely on that. But with our wearable device, we can automate a bunch of those alerts.
Okay. So what is the cost structure for this? When a fire department and someone wants to consider adoption, is it a price per user, price per department? And what's the phase one of just the software and phase two of the hardware of a list price?
So the software itself is $20 per firefighter per month. And we've actually found that a lot of fire departments like to have just like a 1 year or an entire 3 years process. So obviously it works out to be $240 per firefighter per year. And that is for every single firefighter. So that's 100% coverage. And that gives them our entire software suite. So it's not like a modular base or pick and choose it. It's you pay that and you get all the software that we offer. And then for the hardware, when it comes out, that is a little bit more expensive, but it's actually unit based. It is actually, because if you think about it, if you have 1,000 firefighters, you're not going to have all 1,000 on shift at any one time. You're actually going to have roughly about 3 shifts. So as we found, it works out to be a third of the actually department needs it. So roughly, 333 for the example I'm using right now. And that is $100 per unit per month. So now if you actually do a blend, when you look across the entire spectrum, at $100 a month, but it's at a third of the actual amount of firefighters, it works out to be about $33 per firefighter. And then plus $20 for software. So it blends out to be about $50 a month for the fire departments. So roughly about the same cost of a cell phone.
Okay. A few more questions. One, there was a question on the actual device, I guess phase one of software and phase two of the hardware. Where is the device actually worn? Let's say when you're doing software, is it the phone in your pocket? And phase two is the hardware, is that just in your pocket, or where is the actual wearable?
So the wearable it goes on your bottom half. So it goes on your leg, so in your cargo pocket. And so with that being said, it's actually, we've had fire departments say that they would create their own special pocket for it. So instead of using their current cargo pocket, they would just sew another pocket on the leg. And that way then they could just pop it right in there and it has its own little spot. Now the unit itself, as I said, you only need a third coverage for it. It's because the unit is shareable. We actually have a passive RFID that will get embedded into the gear. And that's how we just tell who you are. So as I take the unit, it starts tracking. It doesn't know who it is, but I put it into my pocket. It says, oh, I'm next to 00071. Then it sends that up and says, oh, well, that's Patrick. So it pairs that unit with me. And then at any point, I could take it out and I could give it to you. And then it says, oh, I'm not Patrick anymore. No, I'm Kevin. And as you see over here, this would change. So it would change from Patrick here, and it'll switch it over to whoever it is at that point. And that way, then it allows us to be very, very flexible and shareable, where you don't have to buy one unit for every single firefighter on your staff.
Okay. So closing up here, we got 15 minutes left, but we don't need to use the last 15 minutes. Kind of spitball off the top of your mind of you are communicating this to a fire department. What are just the 3 to 5 most sort of important things or features? Just kind of a little recap here. It's sort of short. You don't have to go into too detail, but what are the 3 to 5 reasons of why fire departments should adopt this, or what are the most important value propositions that everyone should remember about the 3AM solution?
Well, first and foremost is updating accountability. The whiteboards and dog tag system it doesn't work anymore. So getting that is a huge value add for fire departments. And then it's actually having the tactical overlays that we offer is the automated alerting. So if you could geofence, a collapse zone, or you could geofence any other areas that you don't want people to go into, getting an alert right away for that, and that's huge. And then also it's just the ability to remote in. So having people help from having people from your alarm office being able to help your on-scene firefighters, that is a very, very huge value add for us. If you think about it, there's a lot of times that smaller fire departments, so volunteer departments, they don't have enough people there. They only get like 10 firefighters that actually go to the call. Well, having someone who could remote in and help, that's a huge value add. So now you could actually have someone help you manage the scene for you when you're doing 1,000 things, listening to 4 different radios, and listening to the fire medic radio, the EMS radio, the utility radio. Well, you got 1,000 things you're going. To have someone else help you is a huge value add.
Okay. Got one more other question here. And again, if you got more questions, please continue to put them in the chat feature. Lou, who was a firefighter in his past life, is asking, so are you saying that if you wear the wearable or the phone on your lower half, it'll be able to hear me say Mayday through my SCBA?
So we've tried it with that. We had fire masks on, and it still did pick it up. Yes, that is correct. But just one other piece that I want to touch on real quick is the replay feature that we do offer. So not only do we record everything that's going on the scene, but at any point after the event, you could replay the entire event like it was a movie. And so now that helps with debriefing. So, and also that helps. So in my department, we would literally debrief 3 days later, and we would just put it up on a whiteboard. We would draw out, okay, this is where the building was. We pulled up here. We hit the hydrant here. Okay, the first attack line went in the door here. It's all from memory. This, you could literally just play it out and say, okay, we see Davis went in the front door without a charged water line. What happened? Why did you do that? And so now you could actually look over exactly what happened. And now you could craft your training to fit your department. That's another thing that we could offer as well. So
awesome. So I think that's most of the questions, and you did a great job. I guess one other last question here before I'll kind of give a little wrap up is, do the wearable and the phone need to be together when that comes out? The wearable?
So the wearable phone do not need to be together, no. Basically, the way it works is our software is ready to accept the wearable at any point. It could go completely off the phone, so you could have just the wearable and the software. But our phone, we feel it gives us a lot more value. We could actually issue commands and issue GPS locations. So we can Bluetooth to the wearable device, but it gives us a screen for it. But the wearable works without it as well.
Okay. So I speak on behalf of Darley and the entire fire industry. I want to thank you for all the innovation that you're bringing to the space. Firefighter location, this whole tracking and debriefing, this technology is so desperately needed, and it's really exciting to see how far you and the entire company has come. So major props to you and Ryan and your entire team. And if people want to get in touch with you, obviously everyone feel free to contact me, but I know you and you have some other people on your team. What's the best way to communicate with you and your team?
You could just reach out to me directly. It's patrick@3aminnovations.com.
Awesome, Patrick. Well, again, thank you for your time today. Everyone on the call, thank you for listening and learning. Excited to take this to the market. Darley has a distribution relationship with 3AM. So we'll update you with the updated information, updated pricing, and as Paul Darley says, happy selling.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all. Have a great Friday. Happy weekend, and take care.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys.
Bye.